You can continue, brother.
So Brother Raghu was kind enough to complete, I think, 23 pages, and we are at the last paragraph of that, right?
Hello.
So, sisters and brothers, I'll start reading from here. I'll start reading from this paragraph, the last one before last, sorry. And, I'll tell you where to mark. And if you have any doubts or questions, please ask at that time.
Send me your ID number also and your previous ID number also.
Brother, can you tell me the page number at least?
It is page number 23, Demystifying Meditation.
He started yesterday, he was doing.
Ah,
Up to 9 o'clock, I was here and he was doing.
yes, page number 23.
From there onwards?
Yes, in that, the third paragraph.
'23. Okay.
Yeah.
Third, one day I discovered.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
One day I discovered. So I'll start reading from there.
Okay.
And, I'll request you to mark the relevant lines.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Which are important. And if you have any doubts or questions, please feel free to ask me. Okay.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Right. Okay. One day, I discovered that one of the pharmacists I employed was addicted to a certain drug. He took doses that would make a normal man collapse, but he was still on his feet, working. He had developed a tolerance to the effects of the drug. With repeated fulfillment of a desire, our dependence increases, but so does our tolerance. So this is to be marked with repeated fulfillment of our desire till our tolerance. Underline that and mark it. We depend more and more upon its fulfillment while deriving less and less satisfaction from it. As a result, we become even more unsettled and dissatisfied. Even this paragraph. So mark from with repeated fulfillment to unsettled and dissatisfied. The last line of the paragraph. Okay. What the mind truly craves is permanence.
Okay.
It is not happy with limitation. It is not content with temporary states of happiness. It seeks infinity, a fulfillment to end all fulfillments. It seeks to fulfill that desire which, when fulfilled, marks the end of all desire. In short, the mind seeks not merely meditation, but endless meditation. That is true meditation, profound meditation. This entire paragraph is relevant. Okay, please mark that.
What the mind?
There is some background noise. Please mute yourself, please. If you need to ask question, please ask and unmute at that time. So you have marked this paragraph?
Yes.
What the mind truly craves is permanence.
Yes.
Next paragraph. So there is nothing wrong with desire, Daji continued, but fulfill your real desire. Fulfill the big one. Just as a big fish swallows up the smaller fish, the biggest desire subsumes the smaller ones. In that perfect fulfillment, we attain perfect peace. Okay, even this is relevant. Nothing wrong with the desire. So mark that also. You are talking about desire and attraction, I said. However, many of the thoughts and emotions to which our mind seems to gravitate are not pleasant. That's true, said Daji. Attraction does not mean that we like something, not at all. Rather, it means that the mind gravitates towards it, whether we want it or not. You see, the other side of desire is fear, aversion, revulsion. For instance, we want to live and we fear death. They are two sides of the same coin. And as much as we tend to focus on what we want, we also brood over what we do not want. At times, the mind meditates on the positive, and at other times, it gets absorbed in the negative. So, in this paragraph, if you see, attraction does not mean that we like something. Not at all. Rather, it means that the mind gravitates towards it, whether we want it or not. And then the other side of the desire is fear, aversion, and revulsion. Okay, that much you have to mark. Okay, yeah. The next paragraph. On the negative side, the mind may gravitate towards a discomforting thought, painful memory, or a difficult emotion. It can even be physical pain. These mental objects are like whirlpools, sucking our attention towards them. In fact, all the objects that draw our attention are like whirlpools. It doesn't matter if we feel positive or negative about them. We may try to swim away from them, but we swim against heavy currents. When we are so focused on the thing we want to escape from, its attraction actually becomes stronger. The power of thought grows to the extent that we give it our attention, you see. So even this paragraph, please mark it. All the objects that draw our attention are like whirlpools. So if I miss something in marking, please remind me. If you feel that it is relevant for the exam, please do remind me. Next paragraph. For instance, a boy sees a girl and goes crazy over her. His mind zeroes in on her. He can't stop thinking about her. And he is also happy to think about her. But what if he is already a married man? Then he is in trouble, I said. The thought of that girl is like a whirlpool. He is inexorably drawn in her direction. Yet he knows that he cannot allow himself such an indulgence. So with great effort, he battles the current of his attraction. His mind wants to settle on the thought of her. It is trying to settle, but it is settling on the wrong thing. We often become trapped in loops of thought that are not useful to our lives or the lives of others. In fact, these loops of thought can become destructive forces in our lives. Therefore, we have to regulate the mind. We achieve this by practicing meditation. And we must practice in such a way that our minds are naturally attracted towards a useful object, a transformational object. That is the benefit of a sound method. That is the benefit that a sound method can confer. The way meditate regulates the mind is by orienting it towards the ultimate source of contentment. So the object of meditation is extremely important, I commented. So in this paragraph, the way meditation regulates the mind is by orienting it towards the ultimate source of contentment. These last two lines, please mark it. Yes, the object determines that our meditation will have upon us, he said. Whether you drink water or whiskey, the act of drinking is the same. The effect is only different because the object is different. Similarly, no matter which object you meditate upon, the act of meditation is the same. It is just that different objects lead to different outcomes. A limited object produces a limited effect. What sort of effect would an unlimited object produce? The idea baffles the mind, but it does not baffle the heart. The heart is intuitive. It does not share the mind's many limitations. So this last line, the heart is intuitive. It does not share the mind's many limitations. Just mark that, please. What is the unlimited object? I asked. The source, Raji said. So this itself can be the question. What is the unlimited object? Okay, mark that. The source, said Daji. It is divinity itself, the original wellspring. To seek divinity with the mind is to seek it externally. Then it becomes too cerebral, too abstract. If we try to concentrate, we find nothing upon which to concentrate. If we try to grasp it, it eludes us. It is something that must be found within. When its refreshing breeze first reaches us, it comes through feeling. So now, this question, actually the answer is, it comes through feeling. Okay, from there you have to mark it. Thinking is narrow, but feeling is broad. It is holistic. It encompasses thinking, but it is beyond thinking. It encompasses all our faculties, but it is beyond them too. Through feeling, deeper truths are revealed. Divinity cannot be known, you see, but its presence can be felt. So this unlimited object, these two paragraphs are the answers for that. So read it carefully. Okay. You mark both the paragraphs. Why I am saying paragraphs is sometimes if you read only one line, just for the purpose of filling the blanks, you will not establish a link. Okay. So actually you have to pour your hearts into it. It's not just reading. You have to pour yourself into it. Then only you will imbibe the essence of the meaning as well as the words you will get during the exam. Okay, next para. And can you feel the presence with your liver or in your heels? Can you feel it with your shoulders or your elbows? The heart is the organ of feeling, and so it is with the heart that we feel it. Therefore, the heart is where we must seek it. And this is why we meditate upon the heart. Here ends our journey in the realm of knowledge, concepts, and forms. So these lines, the last 5 lines, the heart is the organ of feeling. From there to the end, please mark it. How does meditation help us realize this inner presence? I asked. How does it help us unite with it? This is explained well in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, said Daji. The Yoga Sutras often attributed to the sage Patanjali are an ancient teaching that elucidate certain foundational principles of yoga. Although many people associate the term yoga with a set of physical exercises, there is only one branch of yoga. Yoga is also a meditative approach, the purpose of which is to unite the individual with the universal source. Okay, mark it from here. Yoga, the purpose of yoga is also a meditative approach, the purpose of which is to unite the individual with the universal source. Mark it from there. This aspect of yoga is subject. This aspect of yoga is the subject of the Yoga Sutras, in which Patanjali presents a path consisting of 8 parts or steps, known collectively as Ashtanga Yoga. The 8 steps are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Okay, so mark this. This aspect of yoga, this Yoga Sutras, this entire 8 steps, please mark it. All 8 steps of the Yoga Sutras are important, said Daji, and we'll discuss each of them in due course. For now, though, I would like to focus on the last 4 steps, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. These 4 steps describe the process by which we enter into the depths of meditation. Okay.
Sorry, Raghu brother, you need to mute yourself, please.
I think he's not there near his system, but he will mute it. Don't bother. So from this, the last 4 steps you have to mark. These 4 steps describe the process by which we enter into the depths of meditation up to there. Okay. These steps are distinct from one another, but are not separate. Rather, they flow into one another. But they are not separate. Rather, they flow into one another. They are 4 aspects of single movement, a journey into the depths of the being. Okay. Let's start with the 5th step, which is pratyahara. Pratyahara means self-withdrawal. It is to turn inward, to withdraw ourselves from the many distractions that surround us and center ourselves within. Most of the time, our focus is external. Our awareness is generally limited to whatever we perceive through the 5 senses. We hear, we see, we touch, we smell, we taste, and that's about it. There is nothing wrong with the external orientation. It is vital to our survival. Our senses are a navigation system, you see. They help us to secure life's basic necessities, food, shelter, clothing, etc. However, we tend to go overboard with this material aspect of life. We may achieve material abundance. We may receive the love and admiration of others. But such things cannot fulfill us to the deepest levels. They cannot truly satisfy the heart. No matter how much we achieve or acquire, we still find that we lack something essential. Eventually, we realize that fulfilling our material desires does not make us fulfilled. The heart pines for something else entirely, something far deeper. You spoke about this already, I said. You mentioned the soul's urge for completion, the urge to unite with its source. Yes, said Daji. But that concept is too intellectual. It's too abstract to resonate with our hearts. That fundamental urge for union is something that we must discover in ourselves. Until we do, it generally gets misdirected and we continue to hunt inner fulfillment on the material plane. Our search remains external and we remain preoccupied with acquiring and consuming things. Okay, here the definition of pratyahara is given. So that paragraph, the earlier page, that is page 27, let's start with the 5th step, which is pratyahara. From there, you please start marking. Up to the end of the para. Mark that. Then the last para we read, last second para, the fundamental urge for union is something that we must discover in ourselves. Until we do it, generally gets misdirected and we continue to hunt inner fulfillment on material plane. From there till the end of the para, please mark it. The fundamental urge for union is something that we must discover in ourselves. You marked it? Okay. The last paragraph in this page, we easily become addicted to constant intake, to constant stimulus. For example, you see so many people checking their smartphones every few seconds. In meditation, we temporarily withdraw ourselves from such things. We take a break from the constant movement of life. We turn away from its enticements, its anxieties, and its stresses. In other words, we stop searching outside ourselves. This is pratyahara. In pratyahara, we go within. Okay, so from here, in meditation, till in pratyahara, we go within. Just mark that. The Bhagavad Gita provides us with an instructive image. When the yogi withdraws his senses from their objects, just like the turtle withdrawing its limbs from all directions, its consciousness is well established. We become centered within, you see. If you want to understand pratyahara even further, examine its Sanskrit etymology. We form the word pratyahara from two Sanskrit roots, prati and ahar. Prati means against, and ahar means intake. In pratyahara, we stop searching externally for things to consume. By going within, by settling ourselves in the center of our being, we defeat the desire for constant stimulation, for constant intake. We become so content that we forget it. So the meaning of pratyahara is here. So mark this paragraph, please. So how do we achieve this, I asked. Something has to draw us inward, said Daji. This cannot be achieved by force. Otherwise, we end up struggling. You see, what often happens is that a person closes their eyes and tries to meditate, but they don't find anything inside. It is as if the heart is locked up, totally inaccessible. After a few minutes of trying, they are frustrated. I don't feel anything, they say. Then they give up, or they persevere and force themselves to concentrate on the heart. But then they are not really meditating. It's only concentration, which is not the same thing. We don't find anything when we look inside, I asked. We haven't developed their inner senses that would allow us to perceive anything on that subtle level, said Daji. We are like a blind person attempting to recognize the color red. Divinity is already within us, but we don't recognize it. We do not feel it. Therefore, it has no effect upon us. Mark this. Divinity is already within us. We don't recognize it. We do not feel it. That it has no effect upon us.
I didn't want to argue with him.
ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬರಲ್ವಾ?
How do we rise beyond this limitation, I asked. In the heartfulness approach, our meditation is aided by yogic transmission, said Daji. That makes all the difference. The topic of yogic transmission is a vast one, so let us wait and explore it in greater depth later on, including the way to experience it ourselves. For now, let us understand that transmission is a catalyst for profound meditation. So mark this. Transmission is a catalyst for profound meditation. It allows us to experience divinity rather than only believing in it. By infusing us with divine experience, transmission helps us transcend the need for belief. When you experience something for yourself, belief is no longer relevant, you see. Therefore, transmission is a means by which we can awaken to reality, to the essential presence within. As a result, meditation now becomes a joyful living affair. No longer it is just a dry exercise. No longer do we spend meditation fighting with thoughts and bodily sensations. So in this paragraph, for now, let us understand that transmission is a catalyst till the end. Please mark that. Further on, yogic transmission helps us merge with that inner presence and becomes almost identical to it. You see, transmission is divinity itself coming to your door with an invitation in the hand. Like the scent of a rose beckoning us towards the garden, the fragrance of divinity draws us in. It is so mesmerizing and captivating. It speaks to our hearts and draws us further into itself, further into ourselves. This paves our way to deeper level of meditation. It happens so naturally that we hardly have to expend our effort. That is why Babuji, the second guru of heartfulness tradition, called this heartfulness path the natural path or Sahaj Marg. It is a natural and forceless approach. So mark this. That is why Babuji, the second guru, from there till the end. Just underline and mark it. Now, having been drawn inward, we arrive at the sixth step of Patanjali's progression, which is dharana. Patanjali describes dharana as arresting other things. This means that during meditation, you are undistracted. You will still hear the traffic noises coming from outside. You will still be aware that someone is in the next room talking loudly on the phone. Yet you are unaffected by these inputs. They do not disturb you. Their impact is arrested. However, as a result of Patanjali's definition, people generally mistake dharana for a state of intense concentration. Let us examine the etymology. Dharana stems from the Sanskrit root dhar, which means something that holds or something that contains. So, like a tiny fetus that is held and supported in the mother's womb, we are also held and supported. Where? In the womb of the heart. When we are totally at rest in the heart, something special happens, something sacred actually. In nature, seeds germinate in the womb of the mother Earth because of the comfort they find there. In this comfort, they still split open and shed their protective layer. Why? Because they sense the protection of the earth surrounding them. When we experience that same level of comfort and the protection in the womb of the heart, the divine seed starts to open, and from that seed, a new spiritual life gradually emerges. We now start to experience a completely new spectrum of consciousness. So dharana stems from Sanskrit root dhar, which means something that holds or something that contains. Okay, this one you mark. You see, we do not have to hold the object of meditation in our minds, as people so often believe. They would be that would be very tiresome. Rather, the object of meditation holds us. Mark this also, please. Patanjali's next step is dhyana, which is to hold the mind on one object. But when the mind is at rest, we don't need to hold it in one place, in a place. It is already in place. It is simply balanced there. So dharana and dhyana are really describing one and the same condition. I said, that's right, said Daji. There is no difference between an undistracted mind and settled mind. They are indistinguishable. They are indistinguishable. So mark this. There is no difference between an undistracted mind and a settled mind. And let us not mistake a restful mind for a sluggish mind. No. In this state, our awareness becomes dynamic. Consciousness steeps in the divine presence within. We are totally absorbed in it. When our level of absorption passes a certain threshold, we call it samadhi, which is the eighth and final step of Patanjali's progression. Because samadhi is the last of these 8 steps, people commonly think of it as the grand culmination of the spiritual journey. In actuality, samadhi is only the beginning. Much more lies beyond. Actually, many of us have a taste of samadhi even on our very first day of meditation, just as you did on yours. Our experience of samadhi deepens and changes as we progress, you see. Samadhi is deep meditation. It is to be deeply absorbed in the divine object. Then we start to unite with the divine presence within. Eventually, we become one. So, this 3 lines, samadhi is deep meditation up to eventually we become one. That one you mark. However, total union does not happen all at once. It is a progressive thing. You see, with each successive meditation, it can be possible to merge a little further. And along with each tiny union, we experience a sense of completion that is unmatched by anything we have previously experienced. Our hearts become drenched in peace and contentment. When such is the case, could anything possibly disturb us? Could we still feel stressed or unbalanced? The mind is only at ease when the heart is at peace. Mark that. The mind is only at ease when the heart is at peace. Yet many regard meditation as a state of mere mental inactivity, of thoughtlessness. Not many have understood that the root of inner stillness lie in the state of union. People often take mental stillness as a goal in and of itself without realizing the cause of that stillness. Believing that meditation is an exercise in suppressing thoughts, they devise various artificial means to induce the state of thoughtlessness. There are certainly points on the body which, if concentrated upon, do provide thoughtlessness. That is the reason that some people meditate on the tip of the nose. However, thoughtlessness without union is only a state of ignorance, of mental dullness, and not of any use. That is not samadhi. So mark this last three lines. However, thoughtlessness without union is only a state of ignorance, of mental dullness, and not of any use. That is not samadhi. Just mark that. Let us now examine the word itself, samadhi. Samadhi is a combination of two Sanskrit roots that mean equal and original. Sama means equal and adi means original. So in samadhi, we enter into a state that is equal to the original state, which is a state that prevailed before we came into existence. At that time, nothing yet existed apart from the source from which we emerged. In that state, that was a perfect calm and perfect balance. So this entire paragraph, kindly mark. In fact, sama not only means equal, as I just described, but it also means balance. Therefore, we can also translate samadhi as original balance. I said, exactly said Daji. There is even a third way to form the word samadhi. Combined sama means balance, and with the root adi, which means mental disturbance. According to this combination, samadhi also means balancing mental disturbance. Just underline this also. There is even a third way to form the word samadhi. This is a revealing description. In samadhi, the disturbed mind reverts to the original balanced nature. Balance is intrinsic to the mind. Disturbance is artificial. It came later on. It is something we created. So mark this entire paragraph, please. And we continue to create it, I said. Yes, said Daji. Disturbance depends on our efforts, but balance doesn't depend on anything at all. When you leave things alone, they become balanced by themselves. A pond only gets ripples when something disturbs it. On its own, it is placid. So we cannot create balance, I said. And neither can we create samadhi, Daji replied. We meditate and samadhi comes on its own. It is what remains after everything else has settled down. This is meditation, effortless focus upon the infinite object. So from we meditate and samadhi comes on its own till the last line, infinite object. Mark that. With a limited object, your awareness is limited. Many people recite mantras, for instance, but by repeating a single word over and over again, they only straitjacket their minds. They confine their awareness to the narrow parameter of the word they are repeating. Focusing on a limited idea, your awareness is single pointed. When your awareness is single pointed, you miss out on everything except for that single point. You are like a horse wearing blinders in that. You see, the object is in front of you and nothing else. Your awareness is confined. What happens when your object is unlimited, I asked. With an unlimited object, said Daji, your exclusive awareness encompasses the limitless totality of existence. Everything is included in such an awareness. Nothing can escape it. But does this mean that you are simultaneously aware of each person in the world, or every dog or cow, or every particle in the universe? No, the awareness we gain in meditation is not an awareness of diversity in its various forms. Rather, it is of oneness. It is an awareness of the whole, of the totality. If the whole has a quality at all, it, it is being. It is a pure presence, pure existence. So from here, the awareness we gain in meditation is not an awareness of diversity in its various forms. From there till the end, please mark it. Okay. And we are also a part of that, I said. Yes, said Daji. You cannot be separate from it. It is not as if you stand upon some mountain top, gazing down at the infinite. Rather, you become it. Your situation now recalls the old Vedic pronouncement, Tattvam Asi, Tattvam Asi, thou, that thou art. And that is the truth. You are that, but you will not realize this. Why not? I asked. Because in the infinite, you have melted away, said Daji. You are no longer there. And if you are no longer there, who will perceive this truth? Now the knower dissolves in knowing. The drop merges in the ocean. Daji paused. But that is not the end. No, it is only the beginning. So till now, everything is clear, clearly marked.
Yes, brother.
Yeah. At least someone has to speak out, Then there will be interest.
Sure.
Thank you. So I hope that everyone is marking what I am saying. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes, brother.
Yeah. Thank you. Now I can hear
Yes,
some
brother.
voices. So
Yeah.
that gives me more interest in.
Yes, brother. It is
Yeah,
nice.
you can even switch on your video if your connection is proper,
Brother.
Otherwise, I'll keep on reading and you will keep on marking something without any understanding.
Brother, in case of suppose they will ask definition for samadhi, here you have given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different, which actually we have to answer for 1 mark or 2 marks.
1 mark or 2 mark, you have to actually answer what is exactly written in the book.
Yes, brother. But there are different definitions are there, no? At different places
No,
for
so
samadhi itself.
no. So we are talking about this book alone.
Yeah.
What master has said in the first thing, sama means equal and the adi means original.
Yeah.
So take that one and mark it.
Okay.
Right?
But that is the meaning of the samadhi. That
Yeah.
is not the definition of samadhi, no?
Nahi. So in this para, if you see, going further, so in samadhi we enter into a state that is equal to the original state. That is why I am marking you the full paragraph.
Yeah.
I am asking you to mark the full paragraph so that you understand not only the meaning, you also catch the word which has to be mentioned in the answer. Because that has to be very precise. If it is a short answer, you can write, no problem in your own words. But when there is a fill in the blank, or when you have multiple choices, then you will have to have the exact term there.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's continue with attitude. So we are on page 35, attitude. Okay. One afternoon, I meditated alone with Taji. Afterward, he remarked, meditation isn't everything. What do you mean? I asked. Spiritual practice is important, he said. Without it, transformation is only a dream. Yet, even the most effective meditation method, combined with the most disciplined approach, can only take us up to 5% of the way. And the other 95%, I said. So mark this, spiritual practice up to 5% of the way. Then next. So 95% is attitude, said Daji. Mark that also. What we do is important, he said. But it is not as important as the attitude in which we do it. This doesn't only apply to meditation. With my activity, with any activity, it's our attitude that defines it, and our attitude that determines its success. If you meditate in a negative mood, it's counterproductive. Your negativity becomes the object of your meditation. You see, your eyes may be closed. You may look as if you are in meditation, but in actuality, you are just brooding over your negative thoughts and feelings. That becomes your focus. And what happens if you meditate on your bad mood? It only intensifies, I said. The purpose of meditation is to enter into the finest states of consciousness, he continued. Mark this, please. The purpose of meditation is to enter into the finest states of consciousness. Do you think that that will be possible if you bring heaviness, discord, and torments along with you? We have to leave them all behind. Such things weigh us down like lead, but they are easily removed with the cleaning method. There are also other attitudes that hinder us in subtler ways. Expectation is one of them. So there may be a question on attitudes. Okay. Write a short note on attitude. So entire thing you will please study it properly. So mark this. There are other attitudes that hinder us in subtler ways. Expectation is one of them. You see, many approach meditation with the expectation of a certain result. Suppose that one day you had a phenomenal experience in meditation. The next time you meditate, you want to relive that experience. In doing so, you apply a condition to your meditation. I must feel peaceful today. Something better might be waiting for you. Yet you only want peace, so you miss out. This shows how even the best experiences can become traps. We have the tendency to get stuck on our experience. Rather, we should always be willing to go beyond, to go further. Even at the high stage where bliss finally dawns, you must keep moving. Otherwise, your desire to remain in that state of bliss holds you back. You think it so much, you like it so much that you want to repeat it again and again. You don't want to transcend it. Be assured that whatever you may experience, there is always something beyond. We should always avoid the opposite extreme, which is impatience for the next stage to come. We needn't be in any rush to keep moving. This attitude also holds back. I guess it's a fine line between getting stuck on an experience and being in a hurry, I said. No, not at all, said Daji. It is a simple thing. Just let the process unfold naturally with total openness. Don't place any conditions upon it. Don't insist on anything and don't demand anything. Meditation is best when you have no expectations, not even for a meditative experience. If something happens, fine. If you have no experience, it's still okay. So these are all the attitudes, like expectation, no expectations. Okay. Then, the stages that come, so mark all this, please. There may be a question on that. Okay. Read it carefully. Really, meditation is a form of waiting. Okay. This line. Not impatiently, as if you are packing back. You are packing back and forth, waiting for the bus. It's relaxed kind of waiting. Okay. You are at ease. You are comfortable. It does no good to be impatient, you see. Everything happens in its own time. For example, you cannot cut open a butterfly's cocoon before it's fully matured. That would kill the butterfly. Similarly, we cannot expect spiritual states to blossom before that time. They will come. Sometimes we have unpleasant experiences, I said. What then? Many things happen in meditation, said Daji. But every experience is ultimately good because each experience has a purpose. Even if we don't understand what it is, we need not understand it either. Our understanding is not necessary for us to keep moving. Just take your experiences lightly and move on. Most of us do not understand the intricacies of the spiritual journey. Even if we have a vague idea of the destination, we still don't know all the stages that come along the way. Stages are innumerable. Sometimes the road appears to go backward. Sometimes there is no road. So experiences can be deceptive. For instance, we previously spoke about samadhi, deep meditation, I said. Yes, said Dadi. But not every meditation ends in samadhi. Some days there will be no depth. Some days our meditative experience is too mundane for our liking. Then we worry that something has gone wrong. This shows our unfamiliarity with the path. In many cases, there is a good reason for an uncomfortable meditation. The biggest reason is that we have taken a quantum leap in our journey and we have taken a big step forward. So inner transformation has taken place and we now have to get used to our inner state. Okay. It's like moving. Okay, what do you mean? I asked. It's like moving into the new apartment, said Daji. You walk into a room and fumble for the light switch on the left side, but now it is on the right. It takes some time to get used to your new surroundings. The best approach is to refrain from judging our meditative experiences and the states of being that create in us. Instead, be like a passenger on a train, simply observing the passing scenery. So this one is important. The best approach is to refrain from judging our meditative experiences. On these journeys, many scenes do pass by our window. We already spoke about how our experiences reflect our inner state, how our anger and ego gives us bad experience, and how our kindness and humility gives us a blissful experience. But there is a far deeper nature that we all share, a divine nature. That is our hidden nature. And it is a changeless nature too. As we progress, our outer nature slowly evolves to match that changeless innermost nature. Until we become identical with that changeless state, we have to undergo constant change. We have to move through so many conditions of being before we reach the fundamental state. So this one you mark, please. As we progress till fundamental state.
I think somebody had unmuted brother, so I just muted them.
Yes. All the while, we have experiences that reflect these inner changes. Change can be tumultuous, because there is no stability in change. Even though these changes are positive and reflect more overall balance in our personality, They still take a little getting used to it, and a certain amount of restlessness will continue to remain within us until we reach the changeless state. Somewhere along the way, in the midst of all our experiences, we stumble across the source of all the experiences, the inner cause of our transformation. That moment is an important one. Your heart just melts in gratitude. You are so moved, you see, you fall in love with the inner being. Now, mark this paragraph, please. The source of all these experiences, no? Till you fall in love with the inner being. Now your focus shifts. You no longer care about experiences. You no longer care about peace or happiness or any passing condition. Why do you want peace when you can have the peace giver? You no longer care about transformation. Meditation now becomes an act of love, pure and simple. It is not about getting anything or experiencing anything, only love. This cannot be forced. It happens by itself naturally. Often you don't even notice that it has happened. Somewhere along the line, you fell in love without even realizing it. It's like a girl who realizes that she has been in love with her friend for years without ever knowing it. And whenever there is love, longing is also present. The craving for togetherness. That craving contains a subtle pang. It is a pang of separation. It is the lover's pain of being away from his beloved. This longing can become profound. This is the first stage of bhakti. Mark this, please. First paragraph. Whenever there is love, from there till then. Please explain what bhakti is, I said. It has many aspects, said Dadi. The main one is the quality of devotion, meaning that you are lovingly devoted to the highest ideal. You are in love with the divine. This cannot happen unless you have had some experience of the divine. But even then, the experience only creates a craving for a most complete and permanent experience. It proves to you that there is something wondrous, something beyond the physical reality. Yet, having had such an experience, you then find yourself thrown back into the mundane. The experience has passed, and you no longer feel the divine presence so clearly, so tangibly. It was only a glimpse. So now you begin to crave it in earnest. As a result, you recommit yourself to your spiritual practice. You devote yourself to it. A new sense of purpose starts to drive you. So this is the answer for what is the bhakti. Huh? Just mark this paragraph, not particular lines, but the entire paragraph you can read and imbibe into yourself. The pain of longing that you are describing seems to run counter to the attitude of non-expectation and openness that you described earlier, I said. I mean, to crave and to be non-demanding seems like contradictory approaches. It is the most beautiful contradiction, said Daji. But how does it work, I said. How do you reconcile them? I'll share an example, said Daji. There are some places in the world where if a boy wants to meet a girl, his family barters for her. If the girl's family still refuses, the family might even kidnap her. Compare that to a boy who gets down on his knees with flowers and a ring. Darling, will you marry me? He asks with all his heart he wants to marry her, but he allows the choice to be hers. His love is non-demanding. It surrenders to the object of the love. Longing is fine, but it should contain no force. It should be respectful, reverential even, and it should be accepting. Love never compels, you see. So mark this paragraph, please. Loving is fine, but it should not be it should not contain, it should contain no force. Sorry, till the end. Without a craving heart, it is easy to be non-demanding. Would you be demanding about something that you don't even care about? It's only when you long for something with all the heart that the sentiment of non-expectation becomes noble. Okay, mark this also. It is only when you long for something with all your heart that the sentiment of non-expectation becomes noble. That is the second stage of bhakti. In the first stage, there was love and longing. In the second stage, there is still love and longing, but there is also a graceful acceptance of your situation, whatever it may be. Acceptance is a cheerful thing. There is no such thing as grudging acceptance. You are either grudging or you are accepting. You cannot be both. Acceptance is from the heart. You cannot force yourself to accept a situation that your heart is rejecting from inside. In real acceptance, there is joy. Okay, mark this, please. Acceptance is cheerful thing. From there, there is joy. Even if the girl you love says no, you are still happy. Love does not exist for the sake of receiving anything in return. That would be sacrilege. Rather, it exists for its own sake. You love for sake of love. That is unconditional love, which is the only kind of love that there is. Love demands nothing. In love, there is no place for expectation, but only gratitude. That is why love is the pinnacle of human nobility. Mark this also. In love, there is no place for expectation, but only for gratitude. That is why love is the pinnacle of human nobility. When love backs our actions, we never feel resentment. We never feel put up. We never feel life to be a chore. This is especially true with meditation. Our heart should call out for it. Practicing meditation should never be a matter of discipline or willpower. It's okay if you don't feel like meditating one day. It's natural. In that case, however, it is better not to do it. Supposing you tell your wife, darling, I am using all of my willpower to sit beside you. End of married life. No lover meets his beloved out of sense of obligation. Think back to those days when you skipped school to meet a girlfriend. Okay, mark this. Practicing meditation should be a matter of discipline, should never be a matter of discipline or willpower. It's okay. Mark those two lines. Mark that sentence. Okay. Think back to those days when you skipped school to meet a girlfriend. If she said, I'll meet you at the movie theater at 11, you would be there by 10:30. Perhaps she'd arrive by 10 just to test you. Some people regard meditation as a discipline, you see. They use willpower to get out of the bed in the morning and meditate. Willpower is useless stuff. It means you don't have interest. When you really look forward to meditation, you wake up automatically. You don't ever even need to set an alarm. If you do set one, you will wake up before it goes off. A joyful anticipation runs through your subconscious all night as you sleep, and by morning your heart is already dancing. You are in meditation even before you sleep. Mark this, please. Underline. A joyful anticipation runs through your subconscious. There is also an attitude for meditation. Of course, we cannot expect this attitude at the beginning. It takes some time for it to develop. Rather, it takes time for it to become conscious. Bhakti is innate, you see, but it is unconscious at first. At some point, though, it surfaces to our conscious awareness. It becomes a sentiment, an emotion, but it cannot stay there forever. It's like a whale that surfaces just for a moment. It takes a breath and dives beneath the ocean waves again. Why does it not remain a conscious feeling? I said. A love relationship consists of two, he said, the lover and the beloved. However, when there are two, there is also separation. They are distinct from one another, separate entities. This is an inherent in the term bhakti. Bhakti is derived from the Sanskrit root bhaj. The word has varied meanings, but one crucial meaning is separate. Without separation, without the distinction of lover and beloved, there can be no relationship at all. But if lover and beloved remain distinct, love also remains an unfulfilled promise. There is no consummation, there is no union. Some people enjoy that state of longing. There is emotion in that longing. Okay, this bhakti thing, please mark it. From a love relationship consists of two. That entire paragraph, kindly mark that. So bhakti is derived from the Sanskrit root bhaj. The word has varied meanings, but one crucial meaning is separate. Okay. Some people enjoy the state of longing. There is emotion in that longing. Perhaps they would prefer they stay there forever. However, we should not stay there. There is no utility in longing unless it leads to union. And in union, then there can be no relationship either, because they are no longer two. Lover and beloved have now become one. That is the consummation of love. Mark this paragraph, please. There may be a question on consummation of love.
So there was this question on 3 stages of bhakti in the last exam.
Yeah. So actually, everything you read here is important. That is why I said imbibe the essence of it, so that you will get it at that time when you write. Okay, anyway, we'll complete this page and then close for the day, sir. We have finished almost 20 pages.
Yeah, I've seen that. So that's fine. You can choose whenever you want to stop. That's fine.
Yeah. So another 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So in relationship, there is no togetherness, and in togetherness, there is no relationship, I said. It's a paradox, said Daji with a laugh. When lover and beloved become one, they lose their individual identities. There is no longer any distinction between them. So tell me, when there is no lover, who loves? And when there is no beloved, who receives love? You see, love is something that never really arrives. We approach it. And before we arrive, we have already transcended it. But we never pass through it. It gets closer and closer, and it can get no closer. The whole business is already behind us. It's a mysterious thing. Mark this paragraph, please. That is the destination to which we fly on this journey. We call it union, but it's actually beyond union. Okay. So we will continue tomorrow at 7 after this paragraph from the next line. Okay. Page number 43, end. So thank you for attending very, very patiently.
Thanks to everyone for attending. So if there are any questions, you can actually ask for any clarifications.
Thank you, brother.
So what we have
Thank you, brother.
Please go
Thank you, brother.
Almost every paragraph is highlighted.
That is how it is,
Yes, I really understand, because when you go through Babuji books, even for second commandment, which is what are the 3 stages of prayer? I mean, it took me almost 1 month